Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dot from Dot Me Now Coaching and Entertainment. For coaching, my links are down below. In today's video, I am going to be talking about what comes next after meditation. Once you have learned to truly meditate, you can meditate for a good period of time. I'll say Honestly, bro, okay, I'll say there's like stages. For me, I did it from like 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 to 20 to 30 to 45 to an hour. You feel me? And I could do long, I've done longer than an hour too. You feel me? In fact, I'm starting like, especially now that I have more time in my life right now, I've actually been going a bit longer than an hour on some days. You feel me? But yeah, I don't do like an hour every day now, you feel me? But I do nowadays. I am getting back on like my hour, 2 hour meditation and stuff like that, you feel me? Anyway, I would say when you hit maybe like the 30-minute mark, right? At that point, you may be able to start expanding into the next stage of what comes after meditation. But before I explain the next stage, I first want to explain what meditation truly is. I have videos on it where I explain what it is, and the next video is about how to actually do it. You feel me? I'll link those in the comments, and if for some reason I forget, just remind me in the comments and I'll do it. You feel me? Anyway, meditation, to keep it simple, right? I still recommend, if you didn't watch those videos, I do recommend them, but I will explain what it is in short right now. Meditation is technically a certain state, right, that you can access. Many people confuse things like visualization for meditation or saying affirmations for meditation. Those things are not meditation, at least not in the way that it's been taught to me. In the way it's been taught to me has been based off of like how the original practitioners of meditation saw it, like the Egyptians and the Buddhists and stuff like that, the Hindus and everything. They saw meditation as the state when you actually are aware of your awareness. It's when you actually become conscious. It's when you become aware of your soul, when you become the observer. That state of being the observer is when you're truly doing meditation, right? Some people see it as when you stop the mind or you're able to observe nothing, which that's not fully what's going on. That's what like it appears, right? When you observe nothing, you're not really observing nothing. You're just observing your own awareness. You're observing the observer. You feel me? You're never really observing nothing because there's always something. You feel me? In fact, nothing only exists because we have the concept of something, or really something and nothing are two sides of the same coin. That's like trying to separate, like that's like saying that the head's side of a penny is not the tail side. You feel me? Like, no, nigga, like when you observe nothing, your awareness is still there. You're able to observe your own awareness. You feel me? And you seemingly stop the mind because you stop observing the mind and quote unquote playing with it. You feel me? It's like you just stop engaging with it. Instead of observing the mind and the information and the thoughts inside the mind, you choose to just observe your own awareness, which is your soul, because your soul is an individualized focal point of awareness that's able to become conscious and aware of itself. With that being said, once you hit the state where you're truly like observing when you become the observer that's able to observe the observer, which seemingly stops the mind because you stop observing the mind, and it seemingly stops the mind, and you seemingly are observing nothing. Truly, though, you're observing your own awareness. You're able to observe your soul. You're able to become your soul and literally observe yourself. Observe your true self, or at least the more truer part of yourself. And I say it like that because your soul is a tiny fragment of your spirit, and your spirit's an infinite consciousness and an infinite energy that exists beyond space and time. You know what I'm saying? Right now, your soul is the part of your spirit which is focused inside of this current space and time, but you also exist outside space and time too. That's why people say that our full soul is not in our body, which is true. Our spirit is not in our body fully because our spirit is existing outside of time and space, but our spirit can focus through this body, through the soul. Now I'm saying this so that we have So that way we have a basic framework of what meditation is. It's essentially when you hit the state of becoming your soul, you become the observer and you're able to observe yourself. Now, people cannot always do this for an extended period of time because it takes a whole lot of focus and concentration, at least at first, because most of the time we're observing like our thoughts and stuff like that, and they're just running wild, and we don't really know how to focus our consciousness. We can't really focus our awareness to like observe something else. We kind of struggle with that sometimes, which is why the meditation practice developed, where like you may focus on your breath or focus on a mantra. It's used to train your consciousness to focus on a singular individual thing, so much so that you get to the point where you can literally focus on simply just yourself, which is seemingly nothing, which is kind of hard for your mind to do because at first, or I should say it's kind of hard for your awareness to do because the way that we've been brought up to focus on things, like more solid things, you know what I'm saying? And thoughts are more solid than simply just awareness, which is just existing and isn't even acting itself out in the same way that thoughts are acting out information, you know? These basic frameworks are really important to understand before I explain the next part of meditation, because there is a step after meditation which starts to expand into all the crazier things where you start getting that higher information about like aliens and the planes of existence and leaving your body and whatever the heck, right? And I am going to get to that, but I need to really lay down this framework so we can understand how meditation truly is working, what's really going on in meditation. I do recommend watching my video, but inside that video, I may not say everything I'm mentioning right now. So still watch my videos on meditation, but don't sleep on what I'm saying right now, even if you did see those videos, because I may be saying some new shit. You feel me? Minorly. But yeah, that's why you need to learn how to focus, in order to actually observe nothing, because most of the time we like to focus on things that are seemingly solid and are actually there. But focusing on your awareness seems like focusing on nothing, which may be hard because there's not really a solid object to focus on. Once you are able to develop your focus, though, you can begin truly meditating and actually becoming the observer. And then once you do that for extended periods of time, you can start going to the next step. Because, yeah, you may observe the observer at some point, but if you can only do that for like 5 minutes, bro, it's like you'll lose focus quick, and it's like you'll just go back to observing your own mind, and observing the thoughts inside your mind, which is not the best thing when you want to start going to the next step of meditation, right? So, in short, meditation is the act of becoming the observer, becoming aware of your soul and observing the observer, right? In order to do this, you need to be able to focus on seemingly nothing. You need to be able to stop observing the mind and be able to observe your own soul and be able to observe it for extended periods of time without your consciousness faltering and resorting back to observing the mind. Once you can do this for about maybe 30 minutes, you step into the next step of meditation, which is meditative practices. Now, I'm saying it like this because a meditative practice, so let's break down the word meditative, right? Meditate and then iv, the suffix iv. What meditative means, right, means to be relating to meditation, right? So a meditative practice is a practice that relates to meditation. It's not exactly the same, but it may include meditation and involve meditation. Meditative practices, right, include things like, because the thing is, right, people try to do like chakra meditations and visualization meditations and all these things without even knowing how to truly meditate, which is why I'm trying to separate meditation from meditative practices, because mastering meditation comes first before meditative practices. It's actually kind of hard to do chakra work and visualization work if you can't truly focus. And even if you're good at visualizing and stuff like that, you can't fully access the power of visualization if you can't get in tune with your soul and get in tune with the observer and the consciousness that's actually making the images which you visualize. your visualization could become so expansive that you start fucking making images which you've never even seen before because you're just receiving information from your soul opposed to just drawing on information based upon what you've seen inside of this lifetime right now. Imagine being able to visualize shit that you've never seen before because you're tapping into your infinite database of information that goes beyond this life and can tap into past lives, future lives, and parallel lifetimes existing at the same time as this one right now. Imagine that. You can't do that though if you don't truly know how to meditate, right? But once you know how to meditate, you can start going into more expansive things. You can now start doing things like downloading because people like can receive downloads through thoughts all the times, but you now you could choose like a lot of people receive downloads either just randomly throughout the day or when they do meditate. You feel me? But it's always kind of random and spontaneous. When I say you can start downloading information, I mean you're choosing what you download. You're not just connected because like it's still good to receive downloads when you meditate. I'm not saying that that's like some weak ass shit. In fact, what's usually happening is the fact that you're connecting with your soul more, connecting with your spirit more, connecting with source more. And as you do that, you start getting this information from your soul, your spirit, source, whatever, right? You start getting that information, you feel me? And then you realize it with inside your mind, and then you get to download it, you feel me? So that's a good thing, but most of the time it's spontaneous for people. You get to the point though where it's like because I can choose what I want to focus on, because I have became the soul, because I became the observer, I can now choose to observe this information which I don't fully know about yet, and I could begin to download that information. You feel me? This could also expand into true channeling, right? Because even though, because I use the word channel kind of loosely, but if we're going to be very specific, channeling is when an actual being inhabits your body. You feel me? If you want to become like that, that's cool. Now, me, I don't really be jacking that shit. I've done it before. I've actually done it on phone calls with my friends. It was actually wild as fuck. And I was channeling their guides and shit. It was wild as fuck what it was doing to me. At the very end, though, I kept on shivering because, like, it's like having those different energies in my body took like a lot of energy from me and took a lot of heat from me. So I was very cold and I kept on shivering. You feel me? After that shit, I had to re-channel a golden phoenix to actually do certain movements through me that would build up energy again. It was weird. It's like it had to come through me, teach me the movements, and then I could do them myself without the phoenix, which brought energy back inside my body. You feel me? But yeah, if I'm gonna channel a being, that's gonna be for a very specific purpose, and it's gonna and that has to be in a situation where it's like I need the being to do some shit for me real quick. You feel me? I don't really channel beings often. I really don't. And even when I do it, it's not. I'm not channeling it like very strongly. You know, I'm limiting what the being can do, and also the type of beings that I do channel. I'm channeling only 5D beings and higher, which can actually take more of a toll on you sometimes. You feel me? Because those being like the hot like these beings may be so high in frequency that if your frequency is not at theirs, if your frequency cannot match the frequency, it could fry out your body, dead ass. You feel me? But there's also dangers with lower vibrational entities too that could fuck up your body also. You feel me? But I'm not. This is not even about channeling. I'm just mentioning meditative practices, and channeling is one of them. These things involve meditation because it involves you gaining control of your awareness, gaining control of your consciousness, and then choosing to do something with it. When it comes to chakra work, right? When working on the chakras, you need to be able to actually focus on the information inside the chakras, right? This goes beyond the mind because you need to actually be able to tap into like the energetic impressions. You feel me? Now the thing is, the impressions can manifest through the mind, but you can't access the impressions if you're only limited to the mind and cannot stop observing your mind. You need control over your awareness to actually observe, for example, the etheric energy that's inside of the chakras. Now the etheric energy will have mental energy also, likely. You know, like your chakras hold that etheric energy and emotion, but they also do hold thoughts. So I'm not saying that mental work won't be included with working with chakras. I'm not saying that you won't have maybe thoughts or ideas pop up inside your mind as you work with chakras. What I'm saying is you can't fully work on the chakras if you can't control what you're observing with inside the chakra. You feel me? On top of that, when it comes to the chakras, right? A lot of people work on chakras based upon what most niggas on YouTube and shit like that tell them, which is to like imagine this color chakra inside this place. But really, if you want to truly work on the chakras, it would actually be better for you to actually sense your chakras yourself, sense what they feel like yourself. Be able to perceive the colors yourself because your chakras could give off several different colors depending on the information and energy it's exhibiting at the period of time. You feel me? So with that being said, your root chakra does not always have to be red. The reason why they tell you to see it as red is because since your root chakra, right, because like the blocks with it deal with like things like fear and insecurity. When you imagine the color red on the root chakra, it could bring up those fears and insecurities. However, you wouldn't necessarily want your chakra you wouldn't necessarily want your root chakra to be red all the time. You feel me? In fact, a color like blue may be better because that could show that your root chakra is very calm and stuff like that. You feel me? Because you feel pretty calm when it comes to your security inside the world. You feel me? They only give certain colors for the chakras so that way you could kind of work on the attributes associated with that chakra. You feel me? Like with your pineal gland and your third eye, it deals heavy with like your perception of reality and being able to like kind of like see deeper and see the truth beyond all things. You feel me? And indigo is a great color for that because indigo, you feel me, like that color brings on that deeper perceptive energy. And then your crown chakra deals with, that's where your spirit actually comes into your vessel, and it's also like where you could kind of receive information, and it also deals with transcendence. And the color of violet deals heavy with transcendence. You feel me? So that's why they give colors to the chakras, right? Because when you focus on these colors, you bring out certain qualities inside of yourself, which may relate to a certain chakra. However, that does not mean that your chakra is literally that color all the time. So I'm saying this because when you work on chakras, how most people tell you to, when you want to imagine colors and bring out certain qualities, that does help. It really does. And it is important. But to get the true experience of chakra work and to really get to the depths of your chakras and really work on them in the best way possible, it would be better to actually be able to sense your own chakras, be able to actually feel your chakras and be able to focus inside the energy to see what's actually there and then be able to bring those things up without having to imagine a color and then work on those things when needed. Because understand this, when your root chakra is good, right, you don't need to really imagine that red shit. You don't gotta put yourself in a state where you're breaking up fears and insecurities because you already worked on that shit. But if you're constantly seeing your root chakra as red, you'll always be breaking up fears and insecurities all the time. It's never gonna change. You feel me? So it would be better to also be able to sense the color of it yourself. Now, some of y'all may not be able to sense the color, and that's cool. You may just sense the energy. That's fine, however it works for you. Whether it comes through feelings, whether it comes through thoughts, whether it comes through images, whether it comes through all of them. I would aspire to work on all those aspects, be able to actually feel into it, have the thoughts of it, and see what's going on inside the chakra, right? Because you can actually use your imagination to turn the information inside your chakras into images. So like if you feel the fear inside your chakra, you could turn that fear into an image, and then you may see where that fear came from. It may have came from when you were like fucking 5 years old and you saw a fucking dog chasing you or some shit. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you can use all aspects of yourself. You can use your imagination, your emotions, your thoughts, but you first must be able to actually observe the chakra and be able to actually perceive it and what's going on inside of it and all these things. And yeah, of course, living your body is another meditative practice, and you need to be able to actually focus on placing your awareness outside of your body or inside of a different plane of existence. You feel me? Because astral projection can encapsulate dreaming and out of body experiences. So to be specific, with an out of body experience, when actually like leaving your body, you need to be able to actually place your awareness outside your body, right? And you can't really focus your awareness outside your body if you're not able to even, number one, become aware of your own awareness. If you can't even become the observer, how are you going to observe outside your body? You know what I'm saying? I mean, technically, you could do it in a spontaneous way, but it won't be as controlled. You feel me? Like I said, you could technically do all these meditative practices without mastering meditation, but you won't get the full benefit of the practice until you master meditation. You feel me? Which is why niggas will spend lifetimes mastering meditation fucking alone. You feel me? Because when it comes to the other shit, you may do the other shit, but are you really doing it in the best way possible and in the highest way possible? Maybe not, which is why motherfuckers be doing all these different meditative practices and they still don't really make much progress inside their life. Opposed to the person who has mastered meditation and has made dumb progress without even having to experiment with the other shit yet. You feel what I'm trying to say? Anyway, and I'm not trying to deter you from doing these practices either. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that master the basics first. You could definitely master the basics in less than one lifetime. I promise you, you can. You can do this consecutively for a couple years, but you'll be fine. You feel me? Anyway, what I was saying, right, is the fact that with leaving your body, right, you're placing your awareness outside your physical body. You're focusing your awareness outside your body. With dreaming, you're placing your awareness inside the astral layer of your mind, which still involves getting control of your awareness and being able to focus it somewhere else. Most of the time, we have our awareness focused with inside our body and outside our. In fact, a lot of people just have it outside their body. They don't even have it inside their body or inside their own mind. Let's keep it a stack. You feel me? But once you are able to focus it inside yourself, on your emotions, on your imagination, on your thoughts, you can now learn to actually observe even beyond those things. You feel what I'm trying to say? Accessing the Akashic records, it would actually be pretty easy if you were able to actually control your awareness and actually observe the Akashic records. You feel me? A lot of people, it's actually it's like, granted, certain, depending on who you are and where you're at, certain information may be blocked off, but you'll at least feel and know that it's blocked off. Like when I tap into certain shit that's blocked off, I just know that it's blocked off. But there's people trying to access shit and they say it's not working and they don't know why. You feel me? And most of the time it's not that you're blocked off, you just are not able to truly focus on the thing you're trying to tap into because you don't even have full control of your awareness. You're trying to, like, literally, most people just have the concept. Let me give like a real example, right? When it comes to like spirit, because talking to spirit guides can also be a meditative practice where like it involves meditation, right? And granted, you can tap into the Akashic and spirit guides without mastering meditation, but the communication will not be as clear. But here's what I'm trying to say, right? Most of the time when people try to do these things, right, they have the concept of the Akashic or they have the concept of spirit guides inside their mind. You feel me? And when most people try to do these things, they're not actually observing the Akashic or the spirit guides. They're observing an idea that's inside their mind, and then they're just thinking about the idea. You feel me? So if they heard that the Akashic Records is this and that the experience happens like that, when they try to do it, if they haven't really gained control of their consciousness, if they have not become the observer, they're not going to be the observer that chooses to observe the Akashic. They're going to be just the character who closes their eyes and just tries to bring on this idea of the Akashic and ends up just observing an idea. And now when you observe that idea and try to go forth and try to go through with it. See, a lot of people try to observe the idea and they kind of could feel that there's nothing really happening and they say it's not working, which is, I commend those people because there's some people who kind of just go full force with it and they just start making up information inside their mind because they're just thinking about it. They got like, they'll just draw on the information that's already inside their mind when trying to tap into the Akashic records. But a person who has truly gained control over their awareness, right? That person is able to become the observer and then choose to observe the Akashic records or choose to observe the information from their spirit guides. You feel what I'm trying to say? Long story short, after meditation, there comes meditative practices. And that's what involves talking to spirit guides. You feel me? That's what involves all the shit that niggas love to do. You feel what I'm trying to say? leaving your body. You know, I'm telling to the Akashic, working on chakras and things like that. But you can't fully access and do those things to the highest extent if you have not first mastered meditation and being able to actually gain control over your awareness and become the observer. Once you become the observer, you can actually choose to observe these different things. You feel what I'm trying to say? And granted, you could try to observe those things without even mastering your consciousness. But at that point, when you do them, it's going to be a limited experience. And you will not get the full depth. And you also risk involving what you think is going to happen. Or let me rephrase, you involve mixing up what you think is going to happen with what was really supposed to happen. So you think, right, that shit should be a certain way. Therefore, you make that experience for yourself because you're still limited to the mind. Opposed to becoming the observer that has a true direct experience beyond what the fuck you've been told. You can only have a true direct experience if you first get control over your consciousness. You feel me? So with that being said, I'm gonna end the video right here. You feel me? I have coaching down below, Patreon down below, everything down below. I love you. Catch my next video. Peace the freak out. You feel me?